Vandal is the story of a young graffiti artist in Miami as he comes of age and battles a longtime rival, falls in love, and kind of questions his future. He's at the crossroads of, continuing as a illegal street vandal or pursuing a career in more a legal kind of street art world.
Where's this inspiration for the story?
I'm personally been in the graffiti game since I was 10. I've been doing graffiti. So that's kind of where the interest for me came. I wanted to make a movie on that world for a long time. And then when Tony and I partnered up, 5 years ago or whatever, that was the first project we decided to collaborate on. And, he was really fascinated and interested in the graffiti world. And,
Well, yeah, from my perspective, when JD first, told me about his idea for Vandal, I thought it was great because it was about a world that I'd always been curious about. We've all seen graffiti. It's affected all of us in one way or another, whether we like it or appreciate it or otherwise. And I thought it was a great opportunity to tell a story that can educate people in a way. And I think we've accomplished that by the reaction of the audiences thus far. I mean, we've gotten a lot of compliments, mostly, people saying, now I go out and I see graffiti and it makes me think of why the artist did what he did or how he did what he did. So I think from that perspective, we accomplished that part of what we wanted to show.
Where did you guys film the film? Did you guys actually film in Miami?
Yeah, it was totally shot on location in Miami in three main neighborhoods. Wynwood, which is the blossoming arts district. It's probably the largest arts district in the country currently. Little Havana and Little Haiti. And there's no Ferraris, there's no South Beach, the typical Miami shots. It's really the gritty streets of Miami that we grew up on.
Talk about Miami, because when we think about Miami, we do think about South Beach and the glitz and the glamour, but there's just so much to Miami than that. So talk a little bit about...
Yeah, Miami's got an electricity that, that like you mentioned, that's just one part of it, what you see in all these big budget movies, and they take those sweeping shots of South Beach and the neon lights and the Art Deco. And yeah, that's a part of Miami. But the underbelly of Miami is equally as interesting, and that's what, we latched onto, and that's what I think our film really brings to the audience is we take you into that world of the streets, of the hustle, of kids growing up in this huge place full of all these different nationalities and people, and having their own little niche in it.
So let's talk about graffiti for a little while, because when people think graffiti, they think of the street hoodlums on the side of railroad cars or bridges just tagging stuff up, but really graffiti is an art. It's an art form. So talk a little bit about that world and why you chose to showcase that world.
Well, it's a world that graffiti is a world that doesn't get enough shine, if you will, because it is in a way a subculture that's very secretive because of the illegal nature of graffiti and street bombing. So definitely felt a movie needed to shed a light on it, because they are artists and it is art. I would love to get, you can name the most prolific artists today. I would love to see them climb up on a 5-story building at 2 a.m. in the darkness, running from police, and paint the same quality that they do in a gallery, not worrying about those things. So when you really put them up next to each other, graffiti is one of the greatest of art forms, in my opinion. And the world it's challenging, It's challenging because it started that way. It started in, hey, you're an illegal street vandal, you're a hoodlum, you're viewed as an outcast in a way. And in the past 15 years, it's certainly changed. It's been globalized, I think, a lot by social media, the rise of legal street art. Now brands, even like Walmart, are hiring street artists for campaigns, and Coca-Cola. It's become a lot more commercial, which is a good thing, because now you can earn a living and be a professional graffiti artist. When I got into the filmmaking, that didn't exist, and that's why I shifted out of graffiti and got more into the filmmaking realm. So that's kind of my view of graffiti artists and the art form, and why we wanted to make a movie on it, because it needed a little bit of a magnifying glass for people to see.
More and more cities now are giving graffiti artists zones that they can do what they want with it. And I think that's beautiful. So casting your film, Who did you go to cast your film? Did you go to a local graffiti artist? Was it hard to get these folks to come out and...
It's interesting because there was like 2 sets of casting, right? There was like the cast, the actors, which we had an Academy Award-winning casting director, Yessi Ramirez, and Whitney Horton. They helped cast the film. And then we,
They
with our...
originally had cast Moonlight.
Yeah, they were involved in Yessi casted Moonlight. And then she jumped on our movie right after. And it was tough because, okay, to cast the actors, it's Hispanics that are gonna have to double and it's gonna have to look like they are doing graffiti. And then we had to go ahead and bring on graffiti artists as our technical consultant to help us cast a set of graffiti artists that could physically look like the actors so that when we turn their backs,
Right.
it could look like them. And we recruited some, world-renowned street graffiti vandals. Some of them I can't even say their name.
No. But how were they excited to be a part of this project? Were they hesitant? I guess combination of both.
There was an excitement because it's me and I'm from the world and they know me.
Right.
Some people I used
It
to be.
still took a little convincing for some of them.
Yeah. There was that excitement in the sense that it was like, wow, you're gonna make a movie on
And
graffiti.
they wouldn't even come on set if we had police because of security or whatever.
Right.
They didn't want the police to see their faces.
They'd wear bandanas. And,
So there was challenges to it. They were hesitant. All graffiti artists are hesitant of any sort of limelight because it's that kind of subculture, that fear that they've had for so long. It's like, wait, what are your intentions?
Yeah, if you look at our credit scroll and at the end of the film, I mean, we're using their tag names. They wouldn't even use their real names. Didn't allow us. So it's...
What has your film festival journey been like? What has the conversations been with these films?
Well, we world premiered in Miami, obviously hometown to the film, and that was just like, wow. We sold out about 750 tickets in one night, a few different screenings. It was literally the historic Tower Theater in Little Havana, and the reaction was like, wow. Everyone really responded to it. And then we were so excited to show the movie here in Bentonville. It's a totally different demo, In Miami, it's like Cubans, Hispanics that know the city, know all that. So we were just really excited to see what people thought about here. And we screened last night, and the response was amazing. What an interest there was in the world. I mean, every single person stayed for the Q&A, and everyone was
That does
asking.
not happen a lot.
No. Especially the credit roll happened, and then they did the Q&A, which I had never seen before. Normally, they do the Q&A directly after. Everyone stayed.
Yeah, the credits rolling in the background.
And everyone asked really interesting questions.
What question really jumped out at you that you still think about this morning?
I think just...
Well, the lady that was like, was this a documentary or was it a movie? She was still confused by, the authenticity of what we got on film.
Which is a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Oh, huge. She was like, wait, who are actually actors and who are actually real graffiti artists? Because in the movie we have cameos from world-renowned graffiti artists such as Risk and Dax from
Risk
Atlanta.
Is one of the top 5 graffiti artists in the world. He's the godfather of
West Coast graffiti.
Los Angeles. He was painting backgrounds for Michael Jackson, Ice Cube back in the 80s. I mean, this guy's a legend.
Yeah, and then you have Dax, who's like part of the Dungeon family, which is Outkast's crew. From Atlanta, and he's a legend in Atlanta in itself.
Had never acted, and he did an incredible job.
Yeah, so they both play themselves in the movie, in the fictitious world we created. So I could totally understand. She looked flustered. She's like, wait, hold on. Is this a documentary or is this like scripted?
But this must be a high compliment to you blurred the lines between documentary and
huge compliment.
Yeah. So I guess my next question is filmmaking is a very powerful tool. We can change minds and change hearts. Are you wanting to do a documentary on the graffiti world?
We are actually. We're producing one right now. It's basically the story of Risk and his rise to be the legend that he's become in Los Angeles.
In the world of the world of the West Coast.
So it's the story of Risk's rise, the history, and we're also going to do a parallel story about Scene, who's the legend of New York subway graffiti. So they actually are really best friends right now. They live next door to each other in
Wow.
Thousand Oaks, California. So their friendship and brotherhood is so unlikely because they weren't from the same city. They didn't run with the same crews. They weren't even friends until like 10 years ago. So in the documentary, we're gonna track Risk's whole trajectory and Scene's whole trajectory. These two guys on two different coasts, legends, and then how they kind of connect later in life. So yeah, we are doing a documentary on it.
That is too cool. So, we talked about Miami. People think South Beach. They think the cruise line. So if someone would go to Miami, where would you tell them to go see that is not on, the radar, not on TripAdvisor? And where would you tell them to go eat to really get a real flavor of Miami, which I know is a hard question.
I think although these neighborhoods have already gotten kind of commercialized, but Wynwood, if you're into the art, if you're into graffiti, I mean, Wynwood is incredible. Wynwood is a neighborhood that just 15 years ago you couldn't have even walked in there. It was dilapidated. It was, it was a dangerous place. And today it's full of art. It's full of great restaurants and bars, and it's just this cool place to go and catch that art vibe that's really pulsating through Miami. And then, being of Cuban descent, we're actually, we're partial to Little Havana, which again has gotten it's going through its own rebranding right now, but there's some definitely really cool spots to go and hang out and just catch that Latin Cuban culture that was really the birth of Miami in the 60s when all these Cubans started coming over.
Hold on, he said specifically, so you gotta go eat at Versailles.
All right.
That's like a legendary Cuban restaurant. It's in the movie. Shout out to the Valls family. Then you gotta go to Ball and Chain and have some drinks, listen to some music, and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Cuba Ocho, we gotta shout out them. They've been good to us, which is next door to Ball and Chain.
The biggest rum collection in Miami.
Yeah, I really like Tony said. Wynwood, you gotta give a day and an evening to Wynwood. See the walls during the day. Go have an early dinner, then walk around again at night because there's like a lot of musicians on the streets there. And the next day you gotta do the whole Little Havana thing. Those are the two areas I think that are definitely the most exciting in Miami right now.
Yeah. I mean, then if you're into clubbing and stuff, you go to South Beach. But
Right.
That's not our scene.
No, exactly. So what's next up? What's next for the film?
The film, we have a couple more festivals we're gonna show at, and right now we are out to some distributors talking about how we're gonna release the film. So.
And of course, you're making this documentary next, which is up on your plate. What else is on your plate?
We have a bunch of stuff. Some of the more notable projects, we have a film that we're doing called The Corporation, which is based on a book by T.J. English about true stories of the Cuban mafia in America. And we're producing that one with Leonardo DiCaprio and his company, Happy and Way. It's going to star Benicio del Toro. Paramount's the studio behind it. That one we're really pushing hard to get that one into production as soon as possible. We have another show called The Exiles, which is a period show, scripted series about the relationship between the CIA and the Cuban exile militants and their partnership and collaboration trying to thwart communism and eliminate Castro. We're producing that with Cedar Park, David Ayer's production company, Chris Long, and the studios E1. Those are the two that we're like really pumped up about. We have a few more we're developing with Happy and Way. We've kind of created a great rapport, and they're awesome. I could be here for a while if we had to talk about everything. But that's some of the
what
stuff.
is the websites for the film?
The film is www.vandalthemovie.com. You can follow us on Instagram at vandalmovie. Follow us. Watch our trailer.